President Trump can do a lot, which is great. He's doing a lot of good things, in my opinion. Congress has done a lot of bad things over a really long period of time, and it's a very razor-thin majority right now in the Republicans. The Republicans are not unified on wanting to reform government in the way that you and I think, believe it should be reformed. And so abolishing the income tax, I mean, there are so many members of Congress who would just not even want to have that conversation. It's very disappointing. And so if at least we can start talking about it, if people can start imagining it, then maybe it can happen, because if you don't talk about it, you're never going to do anything about it, right?
Mike, we were talking about, whether we should have some of these solutions on the federal level or the state level, and what is the best mechanism that the founders provided to address solutions like perhaps balancing the budget and not taking so much of the property and basically theft from the American people.
Yeah, Jenna. And, again, putting it on the table here, we talked about, the size of the welfare state before and where problems are being solved and what can be done to restore the balance of power. And, the founders gave us Article 5 in the Constitution as a way for the states or the people through their elected representatives, because there's two ways that you can amend the Constitution if you feel like you need to in order to impose restraint or rules on the federal government. Because remember, the Constitution of the United States of America is a document that empowers and restrains the federal government, and it divides the sovereign power among the federal government and among the sovereign states, who are also sovereign entities, right? So this is a republic. We're not a democracy. And so Article 5 says, look, Congress can amend the Constitution, and it's proposed. Most of the amendments that have come to the Constitution have been proposed by Congress. They haven't done it in a long time. There's some they've proposed but haven't been ratified. And then the other mechanism is by the states calling a constitutional convention. And there are a number of different efforts underway to do that. Some people are afraid of that. Some people have concerns about it. I understand those concerns. But, to me, I think about it this way. What's the definition of insanity? Keep doing the same thing and expect different results. People think, we can just put better people into Washington, D.C. in the chairs there, and those people will then do something different. And you talked before about whether they had an incentive or not. Well, when you talk about chairs and putting good people in Washington, I think you're just rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic, because the incentives are not there for them to do something. So I do think that the states have the authority, they have power, and they need to exercise it. But there's also a broader call to impose more limits on the federal government, both on the judicial branch, on the executive, as well as on the Congress, and fiscally under the Convention of States project, which is also achieved. I don't know, maybe it's 20 states who are supporting that. So there's some momentum for the states to sort of stand up and say, hey, federal government, we're if you don't do something to rein yourself in, we're going to do it. These things take time. These are not easy solutions. We're a big country. There's a lot of competing interests, but I'm excited by the fact that I see, Donald Trump talking about these issues. I see the states stepping up and saying, hey, you know what? People like Ron DeSantis saying, hey, we're not going to put up with this anymore. We're going to do something about it. Or state legislatures, approving these calls for a constitutional convention. I think we've got to try new, creative, innovative ways to solve these really tough problems, or we're lost as a country. As you pointed out very wisely, this is part of the reason why we are in this situation, because we haven't put up the guardrails, had constitutional conventions. Congress doesn't want to change things. That's why they haven't been proposing amendments that would actually solve these problems. They like the power. They don't want the accountability, and it's hard work. So we, the people, if we want to continue to be we, the people, are going to have to do it. And we have to do it through our state legislatures, because the states are sovereign entities.
And I think that if we are only championing the executive orders coming out from Donald Trump, and even, this kind of revolutionary sort of agency of DOJ, and saying that we're championing everything that they're doing, but then we're, on the other hand, skeptical or even outright opposing solutions that the founders provided that we haven't taken advantage of, we're missing a huge opportunity to actually complete the work of America First. Why the founders wanted power contradicting power is because they recognized that people in power will want to continue to grow their own power. And unfortunately, the federal government and the uniparty in D.C. has wanted to work together, and not just in a conspiracy, but literally just openly saying we want the federal government to grow. I don't think the federal government overall is going to get fixed with even as much as Doge and the executive orders, and perhaps even this new composition of the current Supreme Court, for an enduring legacy for America that's beyond just the next few years and truly rooting out the big bureaucracy of the administrative state. Because it's not just about the deep state, it's about all of the power and the money that is going to it without the people and the states getting involved.
Well, Jenna, you're right. And ultimately, we have to look in the mirror as the American people. We get the government we deserve. And if we want things to change, we've got to do something about it. The founders gave us the mechanism. It's in the Constitution. Some people are trying to do something about it, but it's hard. It is really hard. In a big country with 50 states, you've got to get 34 states to ratify. It's difficult. So my hat is off to those who are trying to do that. But my encouragement to people who are listening here to us today is do something. Get involved. Talk to your local legislator, your state delegate, your state senator. Find out who that is. If you don't know who that is, you should know. You should have their cell phone number. You should be talking to them. You should be asking them these questions like, hey, what are you going to do about this problem? Because we, this people, through the states, are the only ones who are going to fix this. And really, I think, through Article 5. Because it's a structural problem we're dealing with. What Trump and Elon are doing, which are great, by the way, I love it, they're just barely scratching the surface. $100 billion in savings, that's nothing. That's nothing, my friends. We are $36 trillion in debt. I mean, can you even imagine what that is? That is an existential threat to our country, to our kids, to our grandkids, to future generations. We took a step back from the very edge of a crumbling cliff when we elected Donald Trump and he brought in Elon Musk. We are nowhere near safe territory, stable ground for the republic. So, don't get complacent. Don't be overconfident. Yes, let's be thankful and grateful for the work that's being done, but let's not kid ourselves that it's the long-term solution. This is a massive problem we're facing. It is not going to be solved by Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Congress has to be involved. We've got a breathing space here. Let's use it.